Tactical, SPG1 Tactical. And in today's video, we turn our house into one of those Mission Impossible biometric vaults. Without needing somebody else's eyeball though. Home security is a balance between keeping yourself, your family, and your valuables safe, and quality of life as far as being able to easily enter and exit your home. Variations of keys have been around for centuries, but the age-old drawback to these tangible lock openers are that they can be lost, copied, and usually require digging them out of pockets or purses to use, and the key needs to be shared, or each individual needing to open the lock has to have a physical copy. Then there were the advents of key code door locks in the 1980s. This allowed people to enter preset codes to unlock the door. However, the two big drawbacks to these are that eventually the buttons develop wear, giving away the numbers used, and an observer can see your key code pattern. Now in the 21st century, we have the option of biometric fingerprint locks and alternating pattern algorithms for our codes with the Lockly smart locks. When I purchased my home, I knew that I wanted to have a secure entrance, but also have an easy way to get in. I know it sounds like a first world problem, but digging through my pockets to get to my keys, then filtering to the correct key, then aligning the key and turning, all while possibly trying to hold things was just something I didn't want to deal with. Especially since my truck uses a fob, so I never have to pull my keys out to begin with. I also have a daughter that I wanted to be able to get into and out of the house without having to worry about her carrying keys. And if that weren't enough, I have family locally that sometimes take care of my house and pets, and I didn't want to give them more keys to deal with. So I started looking at electronic door locks with keypads, but fortunately, I happened upon the Lockly door locks while searching on Amazon. We've now had a Lockly smart lock on our front door for 4 years, and I want to share with you some of the features, the installation, the good stuff, and the bad. So that's how we're going to break this video down. Let's unlock this thing. There are multiple variations of locks that Lockly offers in their lineup, and the lock we have on our front door is the Lockly Secure Pro in deadbolt version. I also picked up a Lockly Secure Plus latch version for my gunroom. They now have versions that are simply fingerprint deadbolts and locks that incorporate cameras, but I'm going to focus on the Lockly Secure models that I have. At between $200 to $300, these locks are packed with features. The bodies are available in different finishes, but they are very robust metal. When you pull these things out of the box, you realize that you are not playing with a toy that will break easily, which is a good thing when you consider it's a door lock for your home or valuable location. After the body itself, the next thing you might notice is the screen. Unlike traditional keypads with physical buttons, the Lockly locks have touchscreens. But what's even more impressive is the algorithm-based keypad. You see, when you touch the screen to activate it, 4 circles come up, each with 3 numbers inside. You then find your corresponding code numbers and press the respective circle. But where things get really interesting is that when you go to input your code again, all of the numbers are scrambled and your code will not be the same physical pattern. This means that somebody could be looking directly over your shoulder, watch you input your code, and still not be able to activate unlocking. The fingerprint scanner can hold up to 99 fingerprints, which is either a Catholic family or a hell of a house party, or if you feel like inputting all 10 fingers for each person in your family, 9.9 family members. You can do the math to figure out your situation, but it's plenty of prints. You can purchase it so the fingerprint scanner is located on the left or right side, depending on which way your door swings, though usually there's enough gap for either version. And it works rather quickly and effectively. To lock from the outside, you swipe across the screen like a cell phone or tablet. On the deadbolt version, the physical key tumbler is actually a commercial grade 6-pin tumbler. This is in contrast to most standard tumblers with 5 pins. If for some reason the batteries die before you change them and you've misplaced your physical key, the bottom of the lock has a spot for a 9-volt battery to give you enough temporary power to activate the lock to get in. But there are audible and visual signals to let you know when the batteries are getting low. The batteries are 4 AA's and last for a good while before needing to be changed. I probably should have done some more official testing to see how long they last, but it's long enough that I don't really notice it being often. There are options to have Wi-Fi capabilities as well, and the app makes setting codes, adding fingerprints, controlling entry, and more a breeze. You can also set a timer for auto locking, so there is no more worrying if you've left the door unlocked, as it will automatically shut on you. You can even set temporary passcodes for friends, house sitters, house guests, or for commercial rentals. There are more features as well, but for the sake of time, let's jump into how to install one of these bad boys. Installation is fairly straightforward, and Lockly provides both written directions as well as the option to have follow-along 3D visual instructions via an app. Basically, there are 4 main parts: the exterior lock, the internal mounting plate, the internal lock, and then the internal mechanism that goes inside the door that also includes the striker plate. There is a template for where to drill a hole if you want the extra security of a top screw, or you can just use the attached double-sided tape, but simply you're going to install the front lock through the door to the internal mounting plate and secure those together. Make sure your locking mechanism is oriented correctly, run the wires through and connect them to the internal lock, and then secure that to the mounting plate as well. Finally, you put the batteries in and use the app to appropriately program the lock. I found that I made things more complicated than they needed to be and would frustrate myself by not having the locking mechanism in the correct orientation or something silly. So when in doubt, go back and reread the directions, because it really isn't and shouldn't be that difficult. But now that it's installed, let's take a look at some of the pros and cons. In my opinion, there are definitely way more positives than negatives. The lock is extremely convenient, it's very robust, and quite quick to activate. All my family members have no issues getting into the house when needed. I already talked about some of the more specific features, so I'm not going to repeat those, but I can say that after 4 years of having a Lockly door lock on my front door, I'm still very pleased with the performance, convenience, and value that the lock has provided. Customer support was also very helpful when I needed to contact them, and I'll get into why in a second, but in my dealing with customer support, they were helpful, engaging, and quick. So I'm about to get into some negatives or criticisms, but I want to be very clear that I feel the positives have significantly outweighed any inconveniences, and I could only really come up with 6 issues or criticisms to really take into account. First is that the fingerprint scanner does not necessarily like rainy days or wet fingerprints. I mean, this kind of makes sense as the reader can't get a good scan, but even if you wipe off your finger, sometimes I find on rainy days, the fingerprint scanner just really doesn't perform as well. The touchscreen still works fine though, so you just need to input your code instead. Second, if you have the lock on a door that receives a lot of direct sunlight, you should look into getting a screen cover. I found this out the hard way, as our front door has very little cover, so a good portion of the morning it's just getting very hot direct sunlight. I guess the heat and the UV light was somehow damaging the electronics through the screen. This is where customer service comes into play. They were very helpful and immediately sent out a replacement and recommended a cover. At the time, the cover was like an additional $20 or so and was not directly available through their site, but since having the new lock and cover, I've had no issues. The third issue is pretty small, but with the deadbolt version, if the door auto locks while open, or somebody accidentally swipes on the touchscreen and locks the door while it's open, the deadbolt can hit your door frame. Small issue, but it can cause some small dent or paint issues on your door frame. Fourth, if you want to match locks around your home, you'll need to buy commercial grade 6-pin locks. These tend to be a bit more expensive, and you'll have to get the pin settings custom from wherever you order them, as general hardware stores usually don't have the ability to set those. To some, this may not be a big deal. To others, it's a potential headache and adds some overall cost to your home security. But 6 pins are arguably more secure than 5 as they're harder to pick. Or I suppose you could just buy all Lockly locks, but at this point, that's not something our family has done. The 5th issue I ran into isn't so much a lock issue as it was an installation issue. But when we had our home power washed, water got behind the gasket of the lock and caused it to flutter and not work correctly. Now, I will say that once I took the lock off and let it dry out, it fortunately started working again. So that is a testament to the resilience. But it made me aware of the importance of using a sealant in addition to the gasket for external doors. Or you could just not power wash your door lock. Lastly, I have no idea how my screen got scratches on it. The touchscreen still works flawlessly and I have a cover on it, so my best guess is that my daughter used the keypad to open the door, and while the cover was up, the dogs were probably jumping around all excited and scratched it. But the negative is that the screen is susceptible to scratches. I think for the most part, most people, this probably isn't a big issue, but I did want to make you aware that you should protect it like your cell phone or tablet. So when you're bringing things inside, be cognizant of not dragging things across the screen. And also this again is where a cover might help out. With all that being said, most of these negatives are easily solvable, avoidable, or very minor. But there you have it. The Lockly door locks are a great way to help secure your home while making the quality of life easier. You can find a link to the Lockly page on Amazon in the description, and for full disclosure, if you do purchase a lock through that link, I will get a commission through the Amazon Associates program. Though as they say, I'm not just a spokesperson, I'm a client. And I really do like my locks and stand by them. If you found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining, go ahead and use those trigger fingers to tap or click on those like and subscribe buttons, as that greatly helps the channel grow, pushes us into the YouTube algorithms, and allows us to make more videos. If you head over to SPG1Tactical.com, you'll find our website where you can find endorsed gear, book suggestions, purchase S2S 5-in-1 Gun Lube, SPG1 Tactical t-shirts, and the book that I helped to co-author, The 6 Bullets You Can't Leave Home Without. When you're ready to get your self-defense skills trained up, check out Intuitive Self-Protection at intuitivesp.com or the ISP Facebook page, where you can find course schedules, photos, videos, and student testimonials. And lastly, be sure to stay safe, stay smart, and stay tactical, my friends.